pick some winners and then we say, let's go. So come on.
Welcome into another edition of Betting Weekly Hardball. I'm Doug Kezirian alongside professional bettor Chris Macero. Adam the Bull and Chris were solid yesterday, 4-1 on the show by my count. So well done. We'll try to keep it moving, and I won't be the cooler, so to speak. And it looks like you're not at home in front of your memorabilia, Chris. You are in lovely city of Las Vegas.
Yeah, we're at Circa, day 3 of the 11-day trip, 107-degree temperatures. Pool was nice yesterday. I was telling Adam I was going right down after the show, work on my tan a little bit and get a little exercise in the pool. So we're excited. We had a good day yesterday. My Red Sox keep winning. We had a couple questionable things with rain out with Toronto, depending on who your house rules are, whether you got to cash some of those props or not. But hopefully we can keep it rolling today, and I'm ready for an exciting day of baseball.
I watched yesterday's show. You guys were talking about shade. I just went outside for something, and boy, is it hot. So I feel your pain. I'm across town, and it is certainly warm. So shade's a good idea if you can find some out there. I want to get into the Red Sox rationale momentarily. We do have 2 games starting in 9 minutes. I want to remind everyone we did pass the 10,000 mark for subscribers here on Betting Weekly and the Bet Rivers Network, which is awesome. Thank you to everyone in terms of the audience. Also behind the scenes, they do the heavy lifting in so many ways. So thank you. And we want to remind you to please continue that. Let's build on that. So the likes, subscribes, that is what our currency is in this YouTube world. But before we get to those 2 games, Chris, you had the Red Sox and the money line was moving, and then you had team total. There is value on favorites, right? Sometimes there is value. And when you are laying that much juice, you need the stars to align for sure, but sometimes they do, and there is betting value. I guess, I know you're a guy who's like, you don't typically lay that kind of wood, but it is refreshing to see someone willing to step out and do that when the value's there. And of course, the 10-2 result helps.
Well, it was a little shaky. 5 innings, there's no runs. There was only 3 hits in the entire game, but I just really liked the way, and I mentioned it yesterday on the show, I really like the way Bayo's turned the season around, and he showed it last night. He pitched a complete game. You never see Red Sox pitchers pitch a complete game anymore. So I was excited for him that he got the job done. He was excellent. He's been on fire of late. Like I said, 6 of his last 7 starts, he's gone over 6 innings. He hasn't allowed more than 3 runs in his last 9 starts. He's just having a really fantastic middle part of the season. Hopefully he can keep it going. And if you want to talk about that game right now, we can get into it. You got Giolito, who's been absolutely on fire, probably last 5 starts, maybe besides Skubal, the hottest pitcher in the American League. He's pitched 32 2/3 innings. He's only given up 3 earned runs. He's 4-0 with a .082 ERA. So this guy's just lights out. I don't really see how the Red Sox lose this game today. Obviously things happen. It's baseball. But you got Senzatella going for the Rockies. He's 3-12. His ERA is north of 6. He's terrible on the road. He's got nothing going for him. The Red Sox bats are just absolutely on fire. The Rockies are 11-35 on the road. Sox are 27-20. I know it's a big number, and I'll mention another guy for the Red Sox. Probably the hottest hitter no one's even heard about is Ceddanne Rafaela. 9 doubles. And to the last 2 weeks, he has 9 doubles, 14 extra base hits, 47 total bases. He's slugging .770. This guy plays all over the lineup. He's probably the best center fielder in baseball. This Red Sox team's really hot right now, 5 in a row. And I played it last night at 256. I know it's up to 300. You want to maybe put him in a parlay with someone else we can talk about later. But I'm going to be on Red Sox score first again because I think Giolito's going to shut the Rockies down, and I think the Red Sox will get on the board first.
I remember earlier in the season, he had such issues with pitching at Fenway. That calmed down, and he's been lights out. So I'm with you. I was thinking that overnight. I'm going to get there as well. It's -143 at Bet Rivers, and I'm not afraid to lay lumber in that regard. But let's talk about the 2 games coming up in 5 minutes now. We have 2 massive streaks on the line. We'll start with the Dodgers, 5 straight losses, which is a season high. Tyler Glasnow returning from injuries, first action since April due to a shoulder injury. They're visiting the Brewers, who are been solid. Quintana's on the bump. Any opinion for yourself here with the Brew Crew against the Blue Crew?
Last night, out of principle, I put in a couple small little bets on Brewers and over, just due to the fact that Quintana's their best pitcher. They're at home, and they were getting I got the line plus 144 last night. I think that's moved a little bit in my favor this morning. But I mean, Glasnow's coming back, like you said. He hasn't pitched since April 27th. I know they have rehab starts, but they're not going to stretch him out long. Their bullpen's been a kind of a train wreck lately. They've lost 5 in a row. They're not hitting great. The only pause is that Quintana has some rough outings against the Dodger lineup. The opponent's batting is a clean 300, and you have a couple guys who've hit him well. Betts 9 for 30, Freeman 5 for 16, and Ohtani 1 for 1 with a home run. Even Conforto chimed in at 4 for 9. So some good averages for the Dodger hitters against Quintana. But I mean, I just could never lay this Dodger price, and I just figure, if they do get to Quintana, maybe worst case you do is a split if the Brewers don't get there, because the Brewers bats have been heating up. They've been a quality team. They've won 3 in a row, very solid at home, 29-17. So I just did it as I played a number last night. I saw the line come out. I saw Glasnow was pitching. I thought it was a little pricey for that number. They're just basically thinking, oh, the Dodgers have to win. Well, they haven't won 5 in a row, and I'm not so sure why they have to win today when the bats aren't hitting and the bullpen hasn't been pitching well.
Yeah, and they typically match righties, so that's something that would give me pause. Also, I know they've been in the Central Time Zone a couple games, but still, they were just at home over the weekend. It's an early start. There's enough, like you said, 5 straight losses. For me, it's Brewers or pass, if anything. But Quintana's not a guy I typically love backing or anything like that. The other streak I wanted to mention is the Toronto Blue Jays, the first place Toronto Blue Jays, 10 straight wins. Some of these with ease after taking care of the Yankees. No flat spot against the Angels, although all were one-run games, and Angels left a million on base. But they picked up right where they left off against the White Sox, pounded them. Springer in the summer of George, as Seinfeld fans would appreciate. That's what this has turned into, is Springer's been red hot. Lauer goes for the White Sox. Since coming back from injury, he's been solid. He's under the radar good pitcher for a bad team. I'm looking at a nerfy, even against this Blue Jays lineup. Any thoughts there for you on this game? Because it's going to start in a few minutes here.
I think we have a few extra minutes because we're in a little bit of a rain delay again in Chicago. So, yeah, the question is this Adrian Hauser, is he for real? 4-2, 1.6 ERA at home, absolutely lights out. 3-0 with a .47, 19 innings pitched with only 1 earned run. So this guy's been pretty solid. The line is a little fishy. They're giving this guy a lot of respect, Hauser, because, I mean, a team that's won 10 in a row, hottest team in baseball, lights out bats. They're only minus 145. You kind of got to question it. It was kind of like the fishy line yesterday of the day. The Cubs, when they were only laying 130 to the Twins with Imanaga on the mound, didn't make any sense. And sure enough, 8-0 Twins. So just be careful. I was on Toronto. I mentioned it yesterday, 4 games in a row versus the Yankees. I didn't continue it. I wish I did. I'm not going to hop back in now. I'm just going to have to sit out and watch the Blue Jays keep winning. I'm still hoping that they can kind of fall off and the Red Sox can come back and get the division. But still a lot of baseball to be played, and we'll see what happens. But I like your angle for the nerf because Lauer's been strong. 4-1, 2.65, 3-1 on the road, 2.79. And like I mentioned, Hauser's been lights out at home. So I could endorse a nerfy as well.
Yeah, it's minus 121. So not huge juice, but not plus money either. But White Sox, I don't worry about them that much scoring. Of course, famous last words. Lauer's been fine against that South Side offense. 10 straight wins. Look, this offense has been dynamite, and it's scary to try to. But they got the pitching yesterday. It's not like the offense was explosive. Didn't score until the 3rd inning, 5 spot. But still, let's make that official. I'll go nerfy. Minus 121. We'll have some action on the game, and maybe if it gets going, we'll have a result before the end of the game. You never know, depending on the weather, but doubtful. If it's a rain delay, it's probably not going to get going anytime soon. All right, so those are the 2 games. We'll keep an eye on that game in Milwaukee with the Dodgers riding that 5-game skid, visiting the Brewers. I got a DM this morning, Chris, someone asking me, is this a nice time to pounce on the Dodgers futures market, plus, in the plus 250 range, things like that. And I'm not I think the Dodgers are going to be there, obviously, when it's all said and done. But this is a different sport, man. bats can go cold for a short series or even just 2-3 games in a series. Their pitching has been obviously very suspect with all the injuries. I wouldn't grab plus 215 right now at Bet Rivers. I wouldn't grab that in the futures market, would you?
No, definitely not. I was talking last night with a few people, and they were saying, "Oh, the Dodgers are going to get all these starting pitchers back." And I have a thing with baseball starting pitchers. When they come back mid-season and they don't work their way up the whole year, they either get hurt or they're not good. They're very rarely the returning injured pitcher for a team is lights out the rest of the way. You very rarely ever see it. They usually get hurt. So they have Glasnow coming back now. They have maybe Snell coming back. Is Ohtani going to be a starter? These are the questions we have. So I just don't know. I would not play that. I don't think there's any value there at all. You could probably play the series, rollover series price when it comes to the playoffs. Who knows? Who knows what their pitching is going to be? And if their pitching is as it is right now, I don't really like the Dodgers at all to win the World Series. I figure there's better rotations out there. I know they have a great lineup, and I know they're amazing at home. But if you don't have stronger pitching and that go-to ace, I don't see them winning the World Series, and definitely not value at plus 215.
That's the thing, is they don't have the go-to ace, and you're only getting plus 215. There's just other ways to win money. Maybe it is a rollover series parlay, mechanical parlays they often are called. Okay, we turn the page to the afternoon games, and Chris, I like what you wrote in our pre-show doc. I don't know why Marlins Reds is a marquee game. You should definitely be a subscriber to this. 11 straight road wins for the Marlins. They are streaking, one of the hottest teams in baseball, and they're going against a pitcher who I've loved to back is Abbott, but he's coming off an unusual performance in that he was touched up for 4 earned. I'm torn here, but I'll tell you what, I sure as heck am not betting against the Marlins. Even with Alcantara on the bump, he's atrocious. He's involved in trade rumors, but I like this Marlins team a lot, and I just can't pull the trigger at plus 116. I would need a bigger payout, but I'm not laying it with the Reds, although I do typically like backing Abbott.
Yeah, Abbott did have a weird outing. He gave up 4 in the first, but then settled down and he got the win against the Phillies. So, 7-1, 2.15 at home, 3-1, 2.13. But very questionable in a very small sample size. The opponents are batting .417 against him. Very small, 5 for 12. And Derek Hill, 1 for 2 with a home run, which was a grand slam. So, but there's no way you could. I know they're on this 11-game win streak. There's no way you can back Alcantara. He's only had one good start the entire season. I know he has a couple wins. I know he's 4-8, but he's only has one what I would consider a quality start. It was June 10th versus Pittsburgh. He went 6 innings. He gave up no earned runs. Besides that, he's been a train wreck. 7.01 ERA on the road. 1-4 with a 9.95 ERA. I'm not sure how he's still in the rotation. So. I'm not going to play this game.
They know teams are watching, so they're just hoping he gives them one good outing so they can ship him after that.
Yeah, I mean, I would tend to think that Cincinnati's probably going to win this game. I don't bet teams off 4-game losing streaks, but I mean, maybe you play an over, Reds team total over. That's something I might look at after the show. Lux is 3 for 8 against him. He's obviously not pitching well. It's a small ballpark. Cincinnati, where the ball flies out of there. Maybe a Reds team total over is probably an angle I would look at, because you just can't back a guy who has a 9.95 ERA on the road and has only had one good outing all year. I'm not going to do that.
I bet in his last time he pitched poorly, which was over a month ago, he gave up 5 earned against Milwaukee, came back and won a shutout, 9 innings, 3-hit shutout. So he did bounce back the lone time he did have a bad outing. So honestly, if anything, I'd back the Reds today. I really would. I'd bet into this 11-game skid because, like you said, Alcantara and Abbott, the stars are aligned. And this is, I like the Marlins. I do. And I've bet on them a few times here and there, but this is not the day. 143 does feel a little cheap. And it reminds me of last Friday, I believe it was, when the Pirates had won 6 straight, going to Seattle's terrible travel spot, cross country to the Pacific Northwest. And I did bet. It was the same game parlay, but I basically needed a strong performance from Wu for the Mariners. And I think this is the spot where you bet against the Marlins. So I might have to come around later in the show and take Cincy here. I do like going to battle with Abbott, but this Marlins team's been hitting not a lot of names, kind of like the Rays of the National League in a lot of ways. Okay, drama last night, a walk-off inside the park home run. First time in Major League Baseball history that on the same day you had a leadoff inside the park home run in one game, and then another game, the final at bat and inside the park dinger, we'll call it. 3-run shot by Patrick Bailey. Giants rally, and they host Phillies again today. So San Fran's won 4 straight. Verlander goes for the Giants. Luzardo going for Philly. Philly's a road favorite here, and I know their lineup's good and Harper's back after he missed a bunch of time, but this is a team that has struggled at times on the road. They're 500. Giants playing hot, and Verlander's shaky though.
Yeah, I don't have a play on this game. I was watching the game with our buddy Matt last night, and what an ending to the game. I mean, it was almost a home run, and then the crazy ricochet all the way back to left field, and a pretty exciting way to end the game. The crowd was so into it. It was like, that's a pretty cool game to be at,
Sure.
to walk it off in such crazy fashion. But hey, look out, San Fran 4 in a row. Even though Devers is doing nothing, he's hitting 200. They're only 5 games out of first place because the Dodgers lost all these games as well at the same time. Tough to back Verlander, 0-6, 4.84. He's 0-4 at home. Luzardo, no bargain either, 7-5 with a 4.44 ERA, 3-3 on the road. The Phillies are batting .231 versus Verlander, but some of that must be when Verlander was a little bit better pitcher. Hopper is, as you mentioned, is back. He's 6 for 14 versus Verlander at a 4.29 clip, and JT Realmuto 4 for 13 with 1 home run. San Fran batting .270 versus Luzardo. Chapman 2 for 2. Flores 5 for 12. And last night's hero, Bailey, he's 1 for 1 with the home run. So maybe Bailey goes back to back today. We'll see. I'm not going to have a play in this game. I would kind of lean Phillies just because Verlander has been so off this year. But I'm not going to go in front of that Giants team that's hot and has won 4 in a row. You can't just step in front of it. It's either a no play. I'm just not going to be involved in this game.
Verlander gave up 6 earned and 3 innings of work in his last start, but that was in that A's AAA ballpark. So there's something to be said about that. Before that, decent outings, pitched well against the White Sox, but I almost throw that out. So like 3 earned and 5 innings in the previous 2 outings. So that's kind of what I'm expecting. But in a pitcher's park, maybe he gets through the top of the lineup the first time. Who knows?
Well, I had the nerve.
3 innings, 5 earned is what I expect.
Yeah, I had the nerfy the last 2 nights in this game, and I kind of want to go back to it. But these 2 guys, with the high ERAs, maybe, I haven't pulled the trigger on it yet. I had it last night. I had it the night before. So, they tend to start these games tend to start slow in San Francisco. It's just that marine layer air, and the ball doesn't travel well there, and there's low scoring first fives there a lot. So it's something to always look at when they're playing night games at the Bay.
Might be a little aggressive though, in my humble opinion. Just with Verlander, it's like that. I know you're playing with house money, so to speak, but that might not be a game you need to fire on.
Yeah,
all things considered, just because Verlander is shaky, but you're right. The lineups and everything give you reason for jumping on that. We'll keep it moving. I'll make it official with the Red Sox. We can talk further about that game. Sensatella's a joke on the road. Colorado, and Adam mentioned it yesterday, if they had lost 50 games under 500, 21 and 71. So yeah, they got a little frisky sweeping a series, I think in Miami and Washington, but they're back to their losing ways, getting pummeled. You guys mentioned the run differential yesterday, 243, minus 243 from a run differential. Just remarkable. The A's are next at 131, so over 100 runs. Giolito's been smooth. I have to lay the 1.5 here, and the Red Sox offense is picking up.
Yeah, I mean, the Red Sox offense has just been on fire. Everyone's hitting. Even Anthony's contributing now. He hit his first Fenway home run the other day. They're hoping to get Bregman back soon, and he's like the team leader. He's already like the veteran in the clubhouse. He's only been on the team for 6 months, so it'd be interesting to see what happens if they can keep him together. I hope they don't deal him at the deadline. There's been talks that he might be going to Detroit. They're going to go all in for him because he's probably going to opt out of the Red Sox contract next year and try to get extended deal. So we'll see what happens. I'm definitely going to be on the Red Sox tonight. I'm not going to play the 1.5. I'm just going to lay I've already laid it at 256. I know it's up to 300 now. I'm going to include them in a parlay as well with a couple games down the road that we're going to talk about. But I don't see the Red Sox losing this game. I know crazy things happen in baseball, but the way Giolito's pitching and the way Senzatella's pitching, you can't possibly play the Rockies here. I don't care what the price is. So, you don't pay. They say joking manner, you don't pay the juice if you have to win. So I don't see the Red Sox losing this game. The way they're hitting, the way they're pitching, they got it all going on all cylinders right now. And one other note on that Giants game, I believe the Giants are 18-3 their last 21 games versus the Phillies. So that's another reason you might not want to pull the trigger on the Phillies, even though Verlander is pitching for the Giants.
I'll ask you a specific question about Boston here, because yesterday you played team total, you played first to score and the money line. Why wouldn't you run it back? What's different about this game? You don't have to do it every game, obviously. What's different about this matchup and everything that compared to yesterday?
One reason I did not play team total is that there's the weather changed a little bit. It was a lot hotter. It was high 80s, a lot more sunny weather. Today's overcast, 72, and there's potential for some showers later in the game. So I looked into that. I was going to run it right back, but I'm definitely running back the first to score, because I just think Giolito is going to hold them down, and I think the Red Sox will just get to Senzatella right away. So, it's a little tricky bet. You got to let the other team bat first. I had to sweat out 6 innings of it yesterday, and somehow we still got there. But definitely going to play first to score. I'm definitely playing the Red Sox, but I'm just going to stay away from team total, just due to the fact that the weather's changed a little bit. Temperatures dropped significantly, overcast skies, and potential for some showers late in the game.
Okay, good to point that out. I like it. I'm glad I asked. Just a reminder, a lot of good stuff out there, including the weekly newsletter. Tons of great content, over like 30 pages. You have links to the shows here on the Bet Rivers Network, bunch of odds from Bet Rivers, soccer previews, tennis breakdowns and brackets, obviously Wimbledon going on. So go check that out, bettingweeklystudios.com. I mentioned Wimbledon. Well, new show released this morning, Betting Weekly Game Bet Match with Nigel and Sean Calvert. They're previewing some game shows coming, or some matches coming up. So go check that out. Obviously, a big time of year for tennis fans. Grass season alive and well. We just mentioned the Red Sox. Well, the Yanks finally stopped the schneid, if you will. They had lost 6 straight, now back-to-back wins. And it's been, you like your streaks, Chris, 9 straight overs by my calculations after like a ridiculous run of unders, about 16, 1-1 or something like that in an 18-game stretch. Yanks, sizable favorites at $1.57. Schlittler going for New York, and Evans going for Seattle. Mariners offense that can be anemic, and certainly was yesterday.
Yeah, there was a contrarian stat, though. I know they had gone over 8 straight, but there was a stat that the last 10 games versus the AL West had gone under. So I actually played a little. When I saw that later, I played a little on the under, and it looked great. We were 0-0 in the 5th inning, and then pretty much just like the Red Sox game, the Yankees exploded as the Red Sox did. It was almost an identical type of game, with 10-2, 10-3, whatever it ended up. But yeah, this kid from the Yankees that's debuting tonight, he's their number 2 prospect. And an interesting thing is he's from Walpole, Mass., which is right around the corner from where I grew up. So interesting to see how he debuts. I don't know much about him, but if he's their number 2 prospect, obviously he's coming up to the Big Apple to make his major league debut. People are excited about it. The Yankees could use a boost in the rotation with all the injuries. Cole's gone. Schmidt's going to have Tommy John as well. Evans, I don't know where this guy was. He missed most of June. He's 3-2 with a 2.96, 1-2 with a 3.68 on the road. Although his last start versus KC, 5 2/3, really did well. 0 earned runs, 3 Ks. I'm just going to stay away from this game. I don't have a feel. Obviously, we don't know about the rookie. And Evans has been, he pitched 1 game in June. He's pitched 1 game in July. I'm not too confident either way with him. So I'm just going to steer clear. I have no opinion on this game, and there were no props that came up that made much sense either way, because limited supply of bats versus Evans and nothing versus I don't even know how to pronounce his last name. I'm not gonna botch it.
Schlittler. I keep wanting to call him Stifler, like American Pie. So maybe that'll be his nickname. But yeah, I mean, his major league debut, as you alluded to, one of these big hosses, 6'6", but he was a 7th-round pick, but he's climbed the ranks, been now by MLB Pipeline, the 10th overall prospect in all of baseball. And I wanted to discuss him further just because we've seen a couple guys come up and been absolutely lights out, right? Mizorowski for Milwaukee baffled the Dodgers after giving up a leadoff homer. He's been excellent for Milwaukee. And Burns since he's been touched up a little bit, but he's been throwing gas. So we've seen guys come up and be certainly effective. And like I said, he's 6'6" against a weak Seattle lineup. I'm tempted to back him. It seems like the kid's the real deal, even though he wasn't, one of these top picks. Like I said, a 7th rounder. It does make me want to jump in on maybe strikeouts. It's 4.5 minus 127. Again, it would be a roll the dice. He doesn't have stuff like Burns did. I did bet Burns strikeout over in his debut. I think we were doing a show together, and it got there. He struck out the first 6 batters. But I don't think we'll see that from Stifler here. But I am tempted to get involved because sometimes these guys, the market doesn't quite fully adjust because they don't know what to expect.
Yeah, I could get behind something, maybe like a Nerfy. The Yankees lineup, I mean, obviously it got hot at the end of the game last night, but I want to say in like 5 or 6 of these games lately, they do heat up at some point, but the beginning of the game, they don't get much going. They were getting no hit through 3 last night. They were getting no hit the other night through 3. Maybe look at a Nerfy. Maybe this kid has the real stuff, and Seattle's lineup's not that great, like you mentioned, and we get to the second inning 0-0. That might be something to look at. But I'm not going to get involved in this game. I don't know enough about these 2 pitchers, and I just really don't have a feel on the total either way, even though it has gone over 9 straight games.
Yeah, it's a no play for me as well. I mean, at some point you're just gambling, right? There's no real edge, and there's no need to get involved. And who knows? Maybe jitters. I mean, how about making your big league debut at Yankee Stadium? Now, granted, you are playing for the Pinstripes, but there has to be some nerves for the young guy in that regard. But we'll see if the over streak can continue. 9 straight overs, over under in that game, 9.5. We'll keep it moving here. I just closed a window accidentally, so I'll come back to it. But the Tigers hosting the Rays. That's interesting. Detroit was on a little bit of a dip, has bounced back a little bit. 5 straight wins. Reese Olson goes for Detroit. Zach Littell going for Tampa Bay. Now, Littell, we kind of know who he is, right? Like he is what he is. Tigers have been solid. But this is a game I just don't need to get involved in, at least from the favorite side with minus 157 over under 8. What do you think here?
I think I'm going to be on the Tigers. I'm probably going to put them in a parlay with the Red Sox. Tampa is just kind of falling off the map. They're 3-8. Their last 11. They had 2 runs last night, 1 run the night before. They're what we thought they were at the beginning of the season. They started out hot. They had a front-loaded home schedule. Now they're going to be on the road a lot. I just feel like this team's headed in the wrong direction. And Detroit, winners of 5 in a row, 32-14 at home. I mean, Olsen, not the greatest pitcher, but not bad. 4-3, 2.89. And at home, he's 3-1 with a 2.01 ERA. Tampa's opponent batting average only 125 against Olsen. Riley Green is having a great year, trying to creep into the MVP race a little bit. Some people were talking about that at 100-1, but he's 5 for 9 with 2 doubles versus Littell. And, on the other end, you got Lowe, who's 2 for 4 versus Olsen. So I just don't see much going on with the Tampa Bay bats. I know it's only, 150. That's not too big a price for a team that's the best record in baseball. And they're just on a roll right now, and Tampa's not. I just feel like Tampa's on a little bit of a skid. They're just not hitting the baseball at all. Like I said, only 3 wins in the last 11. And I'm probably going to put them in a parlay with the Red Sox. And I'm also going to use our next game. I'm going to ride Kansas City again. I think Pittsburgh's on just a horrendous run.
We're through 1 inning in Milwaukee. Clean innings for both Quintano and Tyler Glasnow. Glasnow returning from injury, so 3 up, 3 down for both pitchers. Nicely done. However, on the south side of Chicago, Adam Hauser in some trouble. First 2 guys get on, but he gets a double play ball. So now he could get out of this unscathed with a runner on third and 2 out. He's pitching to Barger. So a Nerfy cashes in Milwaukee. We'll see about how this game proceeds in Chicago. You mentioned the Royals and Pirates, Pittsburgh on the road. And like you said, they've been in a tailspin. This Pittsburgh team was fool's gold when they had won 6 straight, went to Seattle. They've lost 5 straight now. They're 17 games out, 17 games under 500. Just kind of a disaster of a season. But this is typical for the Pirates. But KC laying $2 here. Now they have the pitching advantage. I would agree with that with Bubic on the bump, but Falter's no slouch. The market actually kind of likes him at times, but not here. Royals minus $2, 8.5 on the total.
Yeah, so I know I say I preach against doing this a lot. You don't just take the three favorites you like and put them in a parlay and hope they win. But I'm fading three teams that are all on the road that aren't hitting: Colorado, Tampa Bay, and Pittsburgh. They're all fading, and they're all on the road, and they're all in the last game of a series that they're about to be swept in. And I think they can. I think these three teams can get it done. Boston's on fire, 5 in a row. Detroit's on fire, 5 in a row. KC's won 3 in a row. Great walk-off win last night. They got their ace on the mound. Granted, he has a 2.63 ERA at home, but he's only 2-5. So you have to have a little pause. I wouldn't be jumping to lay the 193 on its own. That's why I'm going to play it in a 3-team parlay. Red Sox, Tigers, Kansas City comes out to about plus 250. I'm not sure exactly the exact odds at Bet Rivers, but factor it in. You pump it into a parlay, see what it comes out. If you're comfortable with the payout, I can endorse it. Pittsburgh is a disaster. 12 and 34 on the road. Rockies 11 and 35 on the road. So you have two teams that just can't win on the road against two teams that are playing better baseball right now, that are hot, that have one of their better pitchers on the mound for each team. And I just like the way Detroit's playing too. And I don't like anything about what's going on with Tampa Bay's offense. And one other thing I'll mention, 6 of the last 7 home games for Detroit have gone under the total as well. You can probably look for an under again because Tampa's just not scoring. So I don't know. Those three I really like. I can endorse that parlay. I don't do a lot of these parlays with the favorites, but these three today I really like. When you have 3 bad teams falling in the wrong direction on the last day of a series, it's a good chance they're going to get swept.
And usually you do these money line parlays and you get like it's close to even money or something like that, at least in the NBA and things. But you're getting plus 220 at Bet Rivers. That's pretty good for the chalk, like you mentioned, and such bad teams. Fred Springer, though, chiming in, just a little pause, a little devil's advocate. And he has a nice emoji to go along with that. For as bad as the Rockies are, they've only been swept once in their last 8 series. Red Sox money line scares him, and a little emoji with the scream sort of painting. I get it, but they also haven't faced the Red Sox in this situation, and Giolito on the bump. It's some of it's been situational that they've been able to scrape and avoid a sweep, right?
I'll mention another thing. Senzatella, and my notes here, he is a 55% fly ball to ground ball pitcher, and that's just not going to work out at Fenway Park. It's just not, especially the way these bats are going. I mean, these guys are hitting. Everyone's hitting home runs. Rafaela, Story, Duran. They're just Anthony. They're just a hot team right now. And a guy who's a fly ball pitcher who has a 9 ERA on the road coming into Fenway Park. Like I said, crazy things happen in baseball, but I don't see the Red Sox losing this game.
I do not. I echo that. Like I said, I'm already on the run line, but it's good. It's good to have some other thoughts out there and go from there. So we're by the way, Hauser did get out of it. So first 2 runners on and gets out of it thanks to a double play ball and then a ground out on an 0-2 pitch. So we're the bottom half of the first. White Sox at the dish, sweating out my Nerfy, and we're still scoreless, top second in Milwaukee with the Dodgers visiting the Brewers. So other games I want to rip through. We touched a lot on Pittsburgh at KC, but that's the beauty of a betting show. You go where the value is, so to speak. You don't always talk about the high-profile games. Wild comeback, though, with the Mets last night in Baltimore. This game on ESPN, so you got some big audience. You're probably going to have a big handle. Mets come back from a significant disadvantage late in the game. Deficit, I should say. Peterson against Sugano. Do you like to ride teams like we talked about the Giants with a big kind of emotional comeback at late? What about the Mets here?
Yeah, I mean, we were discussing this last night. You had a friend, and I knew somebody else who was on the other side, and it was minus 2,300 for the O's to win this game. And crazy things happen in baseball, and the Mets come storming back, and they're plus 1,700 on the money line, and they get the job done. Crushing loss for the O's, who had won 3 in a row. They were getting a little bit of momentum, trying to scrape their way back to 500. Tough to go back to the O's today after that crushing loss, but tough to back Peterson, too. He's 1-4 with a 4.44 ERA on the road. Orioles hitting them at 258. 8 for 31, small sample size versus Peterson. Last 9 Mets games versus the American League have gone over the total. So that's something you might want to look at. 2 guys who haven't had great ERAs, especially at Baltimore. Sagano's been pitching okay, but he's been better on the road than he's been at home. His ERA at home is 4.91. So maybe you look to an over here. I know it's a little high. It's at 10, but they know because both of these pitchers haven't been too great lately.
I liked Peterson earlier in the year, but like you alluded to, it's been tough sledding moving forward. So I certainly agree on that front. Cubs in Minnesota yesterday. You mentioned the fishy line. I know you're not a big Twins fan, so to speak. You've tried to bet against them. I like the Cubs. I do. I think they've been strong. They were obviously smooth on Sunday Night Baseball, even after the rain delay, just absolutely crushed the rival Cardinals. But Horton's not a guy I want to back, but I do like the price. I think it's tempting with Festa on the bump for Mini here.
Yeah, I don't have a play in this game as of yet. I did mention that fishy line, and it was very fishy. I got to get myself to not only find the fishy line, but have the guts to play the other way when the line looks that fishy. I still haven't mastered that technique yet. But if I was going to look at this game, I'm not sure I'd bet the Cubs outright, but I would definitely take a look at the Cubs team total over. Festa is not too hot of a pitcher. 5.48 ERA, not much better at home. Cubs batting 333, only a small sample size, 5 for 15. One guy you might want to look to, Carson Kelly of the Cubs, 3 for 5 with a home run and 6 RBIs versus Festa. So somebody you might want to look at in the prop market, and maybe look at a team total over the Cubs. They have such a good offense, and against just a middle of the road pitcher like Festa, this is the type of offense that could just tear him apart. So I might look at something like that a little bit later.
Okay, so 4.5 minus 124 to the over. If someone listening is so inclined, I want to talk about the Guardians because they had lost 10 straight. Okay, and that included one of the most painful losses you can ever experience. 1-0 lead after battling Skubal and giving up a tying run in the 9th without a single hit in the entire inning, and the tying run scored on a wild pitch. And then they lose in extras after giving up a bunch in the top of the 10th. So riding a 10-game skid, going to face a hot Houston team that just swept the Dodgers, and the Guardians have showed up, back-to-back wins. I've been impressed. Not enough to back them or think they're going to turn the whole season back around, but this was not something I expected. And now the Stros are $1.50 favorites here. Houston is good. I think there was a flat spot for sure coming off the sweep of the Dodgers. So I certainly understand some of the performance, but this pitching matchup, Ciccone against Walter, I'm not getting involved, but I'm not convinced this Cleveland offense is all of a sudden back.
Yeah, 2 exciting games, 6-5 win on Monday night, and then the grand slam in the top of the 10th last night to win 10-6. Cleveland, give them credit. Like I said yesterday in the show, when a team has a 10-game losing streak and they break it, I usually like to jump on them the next game, but I didn't do it because Hunter Brown, I went with the Nerfy, and then Hunter Brown gives up 2 runs in the first inning, which was really shocking considering the guy had a 1.01 ERA at home. So that's baseball. Crazy things happen. You got Walter pitching tonight. He's been really solid at home, 1-0 with a 1.42 ERA. Opponent's only batting 238 against him. Very small sample size for both of these teams versus the opposing pitcher. Altuve 1 for 1 with a home run against Ciccone, and Bo Naylor 2 for 2 with a home run against Walter. Nothing really stands out in this game. It's, there's been a lot of runs. Maybe look for. I was on the Nerfy last night when it looked like it was an obvious Nerfy. Now tonight with all these runs, maybe it doesn't look like. Maybe it looks like it's going to be a Nerfy, but I'm not involved in this game at all. I commend Cleveland for kind of coming back. They could have just thrown in the towel against one of the better teams in the American League, but good for them getting 2 wins against the Astros.
Yeah, credit to them. Like you said, they deserve all the credit in the world, but maybe not enough to, pull the trigger, so to speak. And we have a winner already on the show. We have a winner. The Nerfy survives in Chicago. White Sox got a little hairy, top of the first. Leadoff hits back-to-back for the Blue Jays, but Adam Hauser battles out of it. And then no surprise, the White Sox go quietly in the bottom half of the first. So we cash a W with the Nerfy. Now, isn't it funny? You can sweat out every pitch in a first inning and then not even care what happens the rest of the game. Just flip the channel. Don't even care.
That was great. I tailed you on it. I snuck it in right before the show, right before the my next segment came on. I was sneaking it in, so I tailed you on it. Thank you very much. I didn't watch one pitch of it, so I didn't even have a sweat, and I have a winner. So thank you very much, Doug.
You got it. Good to be there. Late game, Padres hosting the Snakes, the Diamondbacks, who've been struggling of late. Now, the Padres team offense just isn't batting like we thought this year, but they are somehow 7 games above 500. They got some good pitching, I believe, on Monday night with a 1-0 win. Cease goes for San Diego. Fott goes for Arizona. Sizable favorites for the Padres, but it's really because the Diamondbacks have just been spiraling, so to speak. Minus $141, 8.5 feels like the right number. It does feel a little high given these pitchers and how that lineups are going, but Fott can certainly get rocked. So I'm not going to touch this game either side.
I'm playing Padres team total over 4.5. You can get plus money. Fat has been a total train wreck against the Padres. Usually I check out opposing batting average versus a pitcher. Well, today the opposing batting average for the Padres against Brendan Fat is 349. Arise is 10 for 16, 625 average. Cronenworth 7 for 16. Manny Machado 3 for 9. Pods plus, I think you can get plus 120 over 4.5 runs. I really like that. You might even look at the over in the game because Cease hasn't been too great either. I know he's been better at home, but I'm not going to go. I'm not going to play the total in the game. I am definitely playing official play over 4.5 Padres. I just think for some reason this lineup really crushes Fat, and hopefully the Padres break out of it. It's tough to bet an over on a team that only scored 1 run the day before, and the only one was an Araz home run, which is shocking. The guy has 2 home runs all year. But I just feel like the pitching matchup, the way it sets up for some of these hitters, they see it clearly with this guy, a 349 average, and some of their best hitters with huge numbers against them. Team total over for me in the Padres, 4.5.
Full. I like it. Just isolate. That's the beauty of these expanded menus in this new age of betting, right? There's so many huge menus. So there's the Padres 4.5 for you, and it's plus 108 at Bet River. So nice little candy for you. So I like the getting involved. I'm just writing it down our sheet. So good stuff there. So one last game. I think it's always fun to have some late night action. Now, Rangers and Angels, didn't see that shootout coming. At least I didn't, with Kikuchi and DeGrom. Hendricks going for the Angels against Kumar Rocker, the Vanderbilt standout, who was absolutely stud in college, but he hasn't really been lights out here at the pros. Got to be honest, I did not see Hendricks pitching this, I don't know, effectively is a way to put it. Kind of a ho-hum game. I kind of want to bet the Rangers because I think Rocker's a more reliable pitcher at this juncture of their career, meaning Hendricks. But no need for me to lay 129 on the road.
Yeah, last night I was on. I mentioned it on the show. I didn't give it out as official play, but I did play it. I found a 4.5 over Soriano. So we're floating into the 4th inning. It's 1-0 Angels. He's got 3 strikeouts. He's looking great, and then a complete meltdown. Gives up 5 runs. He ended up with 4 walks and 5 earned runs, and he just couldn't find the strike zone. And every ball that was hit was a double or in the gap. He just completely melted down. So that ended up being a loser. But tonight, you look at Hendricks, you can't have that much confidence in him. And Rocker, he did pitch pretty decent against the Padres the other day. 5 1/3 innings, 4 hits, 2 runs. But he's been dreadful on the road. 9.41 ERA and a 1-4 record. He got a no decision in the Padre game his last start. So it'd be tough for me to back Texas. They had that offensive explosion last night. I'm not sure if you can count on that again. They haven't been hitting all year. I don't have a play on the game. It would probably be Angels or pass just due to the fact that Rocker on the road he's been pretty dreadful.
I keep thinking he's going to emerge, so maybe I'm crazy. But we shall see. It's a pass for both of us. So good stuff across the board as always, Chris. We appreciate the insight. Trying to follow up a 4-1 show yesterday, 3-0 in your previous appearance, of 7-1. I'll take that for sure. In terms of updating scores that are going on, we're still scoreless in the Midwest, but Dodgers are threatening 2 on and 1 out the Brewers are threatening 2 on and 1 out in the bottom half of the second against Glass now. And then in Chicago, top second. Blue Jays do have a runner in scoring position with 1 out on second. So Hauser in a little bit of a jam yet again coming out of the gate. So those are the only 2 games underway. We have some plays that we discussed, but nice to have a W in the bank already. Chris, you're going to be back on the show on Friday with Adam the Bull. I'll be hosting Betting Weekly Fast Break coming up top of the hour about 15 minutes from now. This is my lone appearance on the baseball show this week, and I'll be doing some hoops tomorrow or tonight, and then also on Friday. So tonight meaning 15 minutes from now. So Wes Reynolds will join me. We got some WNBA to discuss. We did well in the morning game. We talked about yesterday the Caitlin Clark going under. How about a plus 1,200 underdog wins on the money line and a plus $3 on the money line in the morning, 2 WNBA morning games. So that parlay certainly would pay. So it's going to do it for us. So join us top of the hour. We have some Summer League and some WNBA to break down. That's Betting Weekly Fast Break with Wes Reynolds. But Betting Weekly Hardball will return tomorrow. It'll be Adam the Bull and Wes Reynolds, and then Chris is back on the show on Friday. So for Chris and everyone behind the scenes who does all the important stuff that truly matters, I'm Doug Kezirian. We'll see you back here next time.